Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. It has been well documented that Cartoon Network is very much into their merchandise. So much so that them being so obsessed about merchandise sales has even gotten a show cancelled before. Symbionic Titan, if you don't know already, was cancelled because they couldn't get a contract for someone to make figures for the show. Now, where did this all start, honestly? Because if you look back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I never remember Cartoon Network being way into merchandise. Honestly, looking back, I look at their merchandise and they barely even had any. I mean, you look at Samurai Jack, and their toy line for Samurai Jack was very limited. I happen to have a Samurai Jack figure that I found on eBay a couple years ago, and if you look at the back of it at their other figures that they sell for that line, there aren't that many. I think the whole line total has 5 of them, and 4 of the figures are just different variations of Jack, and the 5th figure is a figure of Aku. So it's not like Cartoon Network had this great stash of merchandise from the early 2000s. So where is it that Cartoon Network decided, hey, you know what? We need a lot of merchandise for a show to succeed. When did that happen? And honestly, we can all look back to December of 2005 for when that happened. When Ben 10 began, Cartoon Network realized they had something special, and they did truly indeed have something special, something unique that hasn't been on TV before, and it was something that, took the world by storm, honestly. They got a contract with Bandai to make the figures, and once that happened, kids like myself back then went crazy over the show. We went to Toys R Us, we went to KB Toys, and all those other toy stores, looking for those new Ben 10 figures that hit the shelves. And honestly, Cartoon Network made millions of dollars on the sales of Ben 10 toys alone. Not to mention the sales of the DVDs, just people viewing the show as well. They made so much money on the sales of merchandise that honestly, they didn't even have to get any viewers on the show. They could have still made money with it. Once Cartoon Network saw this, I believe that they realized the potential of merchandising a show. If they get a proper toy line for a show, they really could start making a ton of money. So once this happened, Cartoon Network, with every new show, they decided, hey, we gotta get a merchandise contract for this show, because if we make action figures, they're gonna sell like crazy, and we're gonna make millions of dollars just from action figures alone. And honestly, that's why I think if you look like a show like Symbionic Titan, that was their mindset going into it. Like, hey, the success Ben 10 had? Well, what if we can do that with Symbionic Titan as well? We can make action figures based on the Titan. We can make it for Lance. We can make it for a bunch of different aliens that attack them. And we could be making millions of dollars on merchandise. And then when they saw that couldn't happen, they decided, you know what, we gotta can the show because we needed that merchandise contract so we can make millions like we did for Ben 10. And we can't air this show because we're not gonna be able to make money on merchandise. We're just gonna make money of it being on the air, so they canceled the show. Obviously, that was a huge mistake. But Cartoon Network failed to realize that Ben 10 was something truly unique. Something that I honestly don't think they can replicate ever again. The fact of the matter is that Ben 10 truly did take the world by storm. And even though Cartoon Network tries to repeat this taking the world by storm with some of their other shows, it's probably not going to happen again unless if they get something truly unique and truly special like Ben 10 was back when it came out. And honestly, I truly believe that Cartoon Network learned from their mistake with Symbionic Titan. Because if you look at a lot of the shows that are on Cartoon Network today, such as Adventure Time, Steven Universe, and even OKKO, if you go into different toy stores, they really don't have merchandise for them. I mean, yeah, they tried with Adventure Time, and I know Regular Show as well, with Jazzware toys. They tried to make a toy line for that, but honestly, that didn't sell too well. And if you look for Steven Universe toys, all you can get is little pop figures. That's all you can get for Steven Universe. There isn't really any action figures for that show. So I think Cartoon Network has learned that action figures don't make or break a show. What makes or break a show is the quality of the episodes and the viewers of that show. Yes, Cartoon Network does still, to some extent, care about merchandise. Because if the Powerpuff Girls reboot, or say the Ben 10 reboot, or even Teen Titans Go, if the viewership goes down on the shows, but then the merchandise is selling like crazy, they're going to continue the show. Because once they cancel the show, kids are going to stop buying the merchandise. Like, for example, right, Ben 10. If you walk into a Toys R Us, a lot of times, at least the one by me, the shelves are kind of barren at Ben 10. It may be because they don't get stock in, but more likely it's because the toys are selling really well. So they're not going to cancel the Ben 10 reboot just because it doesn't get that many viewers and it's hated by fans. They're going to continue it because the merchandise is selling like crazy and they're going to make millions off of merchandise alone, even if they lose money on the show. But like I said before, I think Cartoon Network has learned that even if a show can't get a good merchandise contract or isn't selling merchandise, it doesn't mean that that show needs to be canceled. If you look at Adventure Time and regular show, like I said before, they got a contract with Jazzware Toys for action figures. They didn't sell that well, but they didn't cancel those shows. They let those shows go on, 8 seasons for regular show and 10 seasons for Adventure Time. So I do think Cartoon Network has learned that, you can't cancel a show because you can't sell merchandise. That's not a valid excuse to cancel a show. I think they've learned from their mistakes. I think the reason they even made this mistake in the first place is because of how crazy Ben 10 was when it first came out. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.